And we are back. At Home, the podcast, season 5 is back in effect. Can you believe it? We are already, what a summer it has been.
Yes.
It seems like forever since we've sat in this studio together. I'm glad. It's kind of like getting the band back together. It's good to see you guys. Yeah. Even though I see you every week in different contexts, it's nice to be back in this box together.
It's a different version of ourselves when we're in the podcast box.
Yes, what you could see behind.
Truer words have yet been spoken.
Behind the scenes, right.
Yeah, how you been?
Well, I am glad to be back into rhythm. I don't know about anybody else, but summer is great, and it's super spontaneous is the word sometimes that summer becomes, but then there's not a lot of rhythm.
Mm-mm. I agree. Yeah, it's not, doesn't have a lot of rhythm to it, but now school is here and the kiddos are back, which is a good thing. So that's exciting. It's weird having 2 in school this year. So
why is it a good thing?
I think it just for our sake of our marriage, to be honest. It can get a little crazy having all the kids all day from sun up to sundown. But no, so I think it's good. We were just ready for school to get back. I think the kids were too. I think the kids were itching to get back into school, at least Nora.
Yeah, routine is so nice. I feel when I was a teacher, summer breaks were actually restful. In ministry the last couple of summers, I wouldn't say restful. It's enjoyable, but you try to pack so much into different weekends and different weeks, and there is no routine at all. And so
it's definitely a different schedule than education.
Yeah.
And education is front loaded for a heavy season of time. So it's almost, I can only imagine, overwhelming, but then you find yourself at a break.
Right.
And it's a true break.
Yeah. And you need the rest. Mm-hmm. And you're a teacher for sure.
Well, that's kind of brought up this idea of why do we even have a summer break, and what do other countries do? Because I think all of us as parents and of kids growing up, like Chris and I, we don't have, it doesn't impact us as much. I mean, it impacts us when kids are home, and I still have kids in high school and stuff, but it kind of feels like as adults, we need a break, you know? Like when we had our exchange student from Norway, she told me her parents get the whole month of July off. Can we invest in that here in the U.S.?
I'm down with that.
Let's just invest in it here in general, Walker Rousseau Missionary Church.
Guys, let's start a trend. Let's be trendsetters. Let's do it. Let's be leaders. Let's not be followers.
Right.
That's right.
Let's get out there ahead of this. So why stop at July? Let's go to August as well.
2 months.
Right.
It's good.
Right. Even if Norway does 1 month, we can do 2.
Yeah.
Refocus. That's right.
Right.
8 weeks.
But, as we think about school, too, I just happened to Wikipedia why we have school break. Because summer break doesn't often feel like a break. Just like you said, Brant, I think in life and in ministry and in general, family life even, sometimes it feels like summer becomes almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you want to cram so much stuff in. You want to see so many things. And so why did they even create summer break? And I thought, it's usually the answer, which we are in a community of agriculture. It's usually because, they need kids on the farm and, it's during a busy season of farming. And no, that's not the case. Yeah. Do you know what the reason is in Wikipedia?
If it's in Wikipedia, fact check this for me, really. It's pretty accurate then, right?
Well, it had resources across the board from the 19th century. So I think it's not necessarily.
They didn't lie in the 19th century.
Right. But there's research all the way back that the reason they did this was because of, it got too hot.
And it got too hot. Well, and like you were saying, agriculture around here, the time that they would need off is more so in the spring for planting and in the fall for harvesting.
Yeah.
Not so much the summer. So, yeah.
So attendance rates, there was difficulty cooling the buildings, and they probably lost concentration.
I think that happens in March for students, doesn't it? As a teacher, when do you start seeing the decline of paying attention? November?
Better question. When do you stop paying
When
attention?
do I start seeing the incline?
Yeah.
No, I think there's an excitement after a winter break for a couple of months. But I think it's different today than maybe back in the 19th century even, because around March is a long month in the school calendar, and you start all of your instructional practices now are related to the standardized testing, which is on the horizon starting in March. And that is exhausting for the teachers and for the students. So the worst part, this is just my opinion, of teaching and having kids' attentions and just maintaining that is after the test is over. Because in the kids' minds and in some of the teachers, it's like, all right, what are we doing? We're done. But you still have like a month left of school.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because the other point that Wikipedia pointed out is that it goes to what you said, is that kids and teachers needed breaks from thinking too much. I would agree. That's a big deal, like brain breaks. What do you think, Dustin?
It's a break I need a lot just from thinking too much. I feel like I'm an overthinker, right? No, I mean, it makes sense. I can't imagine. I mean, I know that year-round schooling is a thing now, and it's happening in other places. But that would be, I just think, trying to think back at my attention span being in school, I just feel like that would be tough.
Yeah.
You see, I think I would like it. I've seen some of those year-round calendars. I think I could go for a 2 or 3 week break here, a 2 or 3 week break. Isn't that how it breaks out, like 3 weeks or something like that? I don't know. That's enough vacation. That's enough break. I get it from a parent standpoint where how do I take off work or what do I do, for my kids at that point. But
from a teacher standpoint, I was terrified that we were going to do that because a lot of my supplemental income happened during the 2 months that we had off in the summer. And if you break that down now to 1 month, I can't supplement as much as I could have.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
But I got out before I had to figure it out. So.
Yeah, there you go. Well, the whole idea is that I think even in the past, people still tried to figure out ways to spend time with family, to recover. And I think we had a lot of experiences in the last couple months around this table. So let's talk a little bit about what we did, maybe a little investment in our own family, maybe a little bit investment in other people. I know, Chris, how many camps did you do this summer?
I did 2, so it wasn't horrible, but it was 2 more than I usually do because I'm not a camp guy. I'm not usually a camp speaker. This one I just felt like it was important. I was up at a camp in Michigan with a friend who was a director at this camp, a Wesleyan camp up in Hastings, Michigan. And Chris Lahane, our worship leader, was there with us, and Micah Hall, our worship intern. And so it was good. It was, in one way, it was connecting with our staff, but also taking part in that. It was a good time. And then I came right off of that and jumped back into our camp, Prairie Camp, where the camp directors, Ben and Lori Hahn, attend our church. And so it was a way to give back to that camp as well. But I think I spoke in 14 days. I think I spoke like 15 times or something like that. So it was exhausting. That was not much of a break.
Yeah. That's not a time where your mind and your body can recover when you're working at camp.
No.
So, but you did recover in some ways, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we went out we left from there and went to Idaho to spend some time with some friends. We're working on a new network for pastors, and so we spent a week together with them out there. But we flew in the midst of all of that airline catastrophe because Microsoft had its technology issues, and so all those flights that were canceled and all the delays, we flew right in the midst of that, so it got a little stressful there. But yeah, then when we were out there, we chose to take a few days at the end of that and drive over to Glacier National Park, where we spent some time touring that area and just decompressing a little bit. And let me tell you, it's a beautiful place to be. If you've not been there, there's this road that you have to drive to get up this mountain. I thought I was going to stroke out. It's not a very big road, and those are sheer cliffs. Shauna would be hanging out the window saying, "Oh, do you see this?" And you say, "I'm like, I cannot look at anything right now.
You just want to make the
my
curve.
legs are numb, my lips are numb. I mean, I am so stressed right now, just trying to make sure that we live." Literally, the day we were there, later that day, after we had left, a car had driven off of it. Yeah. So I'm like, what were we doing? What were we doing? So yeah.
You didn't tell me that, Chris.
That's kind of crazy.
I came back, and Steve Shirk, one of our elders, he said, "Hey, you love photography. We both love photography." And he's like, "You got to go to this place. It's incredible." And I came back. I said, "Why did you not tell me about the Going to the Sun Road?" He said, "I didn't think you would take it if I told you." Like, I could have died, Anyway, Yeah, great experience. But yeah,
man.
I'm glad to be back in a rhythm, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Dustin?
Yeah, probably like most young families, we had a lot of things with the kiddos. So, I mean, baseball kind of led right into soccer with the kids, and so that was a lot of fun. And then did some stuff with the fair, so that was a good time. And then we actually just got back from a trip that we took out east to be with Sharice's family. So we were out there for about a week in Outer Banks, North Carolina. So we did that trip. That was fun. Weather wasn't the greatest, but it was a good experience. Kids love being out by the beach, so that was a lot of fun. Did some fishing, which
Whoa. Did you catch
I
anything?
did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Are you
I
a
did not
fisherman?
either. No, we all know that. No, but Sharice's dad invited the guys to go on they got like one of those little fishing boats you take out at like 5 a.m. and you go do the.
Was it a
the
charter?
stuff.
Did you have a
It
leader?
was. We did. We had a leader, and he led. I was
It's
not
kind of
leading
like
that.
a Denny Yoder kind of charter.
Oh,
that he
yeah.
actually
Very Denny
like
Yoder-esque.
baits your hook and takes off your
He did,
fish.
yeah. So really, all I did was the reeling, if I'm being honest. But yeah, so that was the thing. But we did. I mean, they of course got them all cleaned up, but we took the fish back and we ate our own fish that we caught. I really felt like a true guy's guy for a little bit, even though I did nothing other than reel.
You did the stuff.
I did the stuff. We did caught
One
the
with
fish.
the outdoors.
I think Denny would be really proud of you.
Have you told
I
him
showed
the
him the
story?
fish,
Yeah.
and he didn't seem that impressed. But I was impressed. I said, "Hey, have you heard of ribbon fish?" And he goes, "Yeah." Well, that's you know what? Never mind. I did not catch those. The not impressive fish. He just didn't seem that amused. So, but it's okay.
I think I heard I'm proud of you, bud.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's
Good job catching bait fish.
Yes. Did you use that to catch a real fish then?
That's exactly right.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's good. What about you, Brant?
Yeah, so Francie and I celebrated our 10-year anniversary in June. So we actually left the kids behind with Grandma and Grandpa, and we went to the Dominican Republic for 7 days. So that was super restful. We did absolutely nothing there except lay on the beach and eat food and swim in the pool. That was it.
Yeah.
For 7 days.
Did you not say it was like 100% humidity?
It was 100% humidity almost every day. It rained almost every day at some point, and then it was in the mid-90s degree-wise. So as soon as it would rain, it'd feel good when it was raining. Like everybody stayed out in the rain. It didn't matter. And then as soon as the rain was gone and the sun came out, it was like, oh, my word. Like you have to be in the water. It was
Like
so
a
hot.
blanket of heat.
But we love that. So that was great. Came back, had a couple of weeks here, and then led a teen camp of 173 students. We had 24 counselors and then 8 staff members. And so I was in charge of that for 9 days total, 7 days with kids. And so that took a lot of time. There's a lot of prep that went into that, obviously. And then just that week was sheer exhausting.
Yeah, that was the big
Exhaustion,
storm.
yeah.
Yeah, we had a big
Oh, yeah,
storm.
there was a big storm. So 160 of the kids actually fit down in the basement. The others had to be put into another secure place. But it was a stinky basement, that's for sure. But yeah, no, Francie and I didn't pack a ton of things into the summer. We tried not to, and then the end of summer came and it felt like we didn't do enough. But we did feel like we had pockets of rest, and we're still taking advantage of the nice weather that we have. And we're going up to Ludington, Michigan this weekend, and so we're still trying to hold on for dear life, and still enjoy some of the nice weather.
Yeah. Well,
What did the Brenneman family do?
Well, it was one of those summers that I think will go down as like a little bit of chaos, a little bit of fun, and a little bit of everything. Like just kind of hit all the marks. Made a lot of hay, which is a big thing because right now, many of you guys might know that farming isn't up there on the economy high list right now. A lot of times, if you know of a farmer friend, check in on them because it's struggling. But we did a lot of hay, which is kind of a big deal because Grace, she started driving. And so that was a kind of a big farm I guess you could say, highlight.
Just define
Yeah.
this for me. For being the city guy that doesn't have a clue in the world, I know that Grace, being of age, she can drive, but what does it mean that she is driving?
So that means she was in a tractor with a wagon, backing up and actually going alongside the chopper. If anybody, I'm just gonna put it out there. My son, he has a drone, so if you actually want to know what Maple Crest Farms does, you just follow him on Instagram.
He's
I told him all the time. I was like, you need to get a YouTube, started. And just show different episodes of what we do. And
Cole Brenneman, listen to your mom. I would watch it.
I know. So anyways, but she got to learn how to actually be part of the crew, as the word we would say, and drive and things. But yeah, so as far as my life and the girls, we got to experience and meet some really cool people this summer. I went and did Olympic trials, which was all over NBC Sports. And I'm going to tell you a lot of takeaways came out of that. And it was a great experience. I met people from all over the U.S., worked with amazing individuals who are highly qualified and professional. I mean, incredible science went into building a pool inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. It was just crazy. But the coolest moment I had was with somebody who you guys would all see in the Olympics, and that was Katie Ledecky. I was the most impressed with Katie Ledecky out of my whole 2 weeks. Just calm, cool, collected, and who you see on the TV is actually who she is. She's really kind. She smiles, and you interact with her, and you don't see the nerves. And I was just so impressed. And then what she accomplished was pretty big, winning the 800 again, and just all the hype and setting, records and being part of something. So at the end of this, guess what? I started listening to her new book. So that's my end of summer kind of follow up to what I experienced this summer. And you kind of just feel like you're listening to a friend tell her story because you met her. So anyways, that was just kind of a little bit of a plus for me. Besides the fair and all the ice cream, Dustin, I think I ate ice cream I did eat ice cream every day. I might have had a couple double days.
Sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah.
My ice cream days are always double days, I feel like.
So, yeah.
When I was out in Idaho, out in Idaho, a big thing is huckleberry, and so everything is huckleberry, and they have huckleberry ice cream. Like, it's the best stuff ever.
Really?
Yeah. So somebody said while I was out there, I said, "Man, I'm really into this huckleberry thing." They're like, "It's just sour blueberries." It's like, no, listen, it is way different than that. So it's huckleberry. It's huckleberry. Yeah, but if you've not been out west, you don't know what I'm talking about. If you've been out to the Northwest, you'll understand. It is a good thing. Well, huckleberry ice cream.
I don't know. Try the dairy bar, it's up there in my world. I look forward to it every year.
You would double day. If it was at,
I would have a double day.
If it was at the dairy bar.
Well, anyways, the reason why I thought we could, kind of open up and talk about summer, because really the history of summer is all about recovery and family, and we're about family here on the podcast and stuff. But I heard a word that you said, Brant, was you kind of thought maybe you didn't do enough. And so I guess if you're listening as a family member or as an individual or as a couple, sometimes you get this little tie into not enough. I need to do more. A little bit of like, what am I missing out on? Why does culture do that to us? And I think it ties a lot to summer break. Well, if you're not having fun or enjoying the beach or going somewhere as a family, you're not doing enough for your kids.
Yeah, this is a battle that actually Francie and I had to work through because I came home one day after work and she's like, the summer's almost over and we haven't had enough pool days. We haven't gone to the beach as many times as I thought we would. We haven't, done this, and this. And then she starts viewing herself like in a negative light as a mom. And so then we had to sit down and talk through all of the ways we've been intentional with our kids. And maybe that isn't in a way that takes them to a pool or a beach every single day, but we've done this and this and this to provide them with lasting memories that are meaningful. And so we've had to work through that as young parents.
Yeah, I think that for us, a little bit like that too. I would say it's almost like you start, because Nora would come home and her big thing was like, what's the fun thing we're going to do today? And it's like every day in the summer, that was like her big question. And there would just get to be a point where we're like, this is the fun thing. Sitting around the table right now for breakfast, that's our fun thing. Like we couldn't, not every day is going to be the best day in the world ever, you know. And I think there was like this expectation that was built up in their minds, or they start seeing what their friends are doing or what other families are doing. And that can be, you know, you can kind of fall into that trap, that whole comparison trap thing of like, well, maybe we do need to go do more. We do need to go on this trip. Or so I think it was just trying to find those little pockets that we could create, whether it was at home or just little things that we could do, little trips, little moments where we could just maybe have a kid we just would take one of the kids out or do things like that. That would be helpful. But yeah, I can see why it's a thing, because it's like, it feels like summer gets shorter and shorter every year, and especially when, you know, you got kids in school, or even if you don't, it just seems like those months go by so fast. So just trying to find ways to not have it feel like that.
Chris, you don't have any kids at home.
I don't.
How do you feel? Do you have any FOMO in the summertime?
No.
Explain
None?
FOMO.
Yeah.
Explain FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out.
I think it's shifted. I don't. You know, you do see people's pictures. Social media is lit up with everybody's vacation to someplace expensive, or, you know, that looks exotic, looks wonderful. And I think I used to feel that way. I think this is where we have to feel comfortable customizing and being okay with who we are. Who are we? That looks great, but we can't spend that much, or we can't do that. So what can we do that's going to be fun? And I think when you start to customize your own experiences, then you feel like that pressure limits a little bit. Then you've achieved what you set out to do. So I think it's great to be able to look around, like if you have kids, like you're saying, to be able to say, what is something that's really exciting for you that you could do, and then try to find ways to incorporate it, but customize it instead of, you know, every month going to Disney.
Right. Well, I think it's proven that expectations bring about the most disappointment and really the most conflict in life. You know what I mean? When you have expectations. And I think we all get to that point where you're like, what's our summer supposed to look like? We have a joke in our house that I've said when we get to July 4th, we're like, oh, the summer's over. Well, July 4th isn't even like halfway there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And so, but it just feels like it just flies by. And when you get to the fair, you're like, oh, it's over. We're done. We're packing our school bags and we're over. You know, we have the next thing is we're going to start school and move people into college and all that. But I think what you said, Chris, is really important, is customize, because I think that's probably been one of my biggest spiritual journeys this summer, is being aware of that it's okay to be where God has you, and it may not be in the easiest season. It may not be in the richest, like when you say richest season, and it's okay to be where you are in the moment.
You know, one thing I'm learning the older I get, and one thing I think I'd pass on to the listener is, at the end of the day, whether you're in an exotic location, or you're doing whatever it is, at the end of the day, the thing I'm learning is I just enjoy the time. That's intentional time. So, you know, Sean and I wound up in Florida at one point, not this summer, but earlier this year. And at the end of the day, it was like, yeah, we're in Florida, but I think I'm just having more fun just being with you. Like, we could have been anywhere. It was a break to be intentional, to be with family. And I think that's great. Maybe that's just what I'm looking forward to these days.
Yeah, like just the moment and times. And it's funny because we don't get away a lot at the farm. And so we have those evenings where we go to the lake and we have moments of time where we're skiing or tubing, and we have memories of, do you remember when Dad, you know, those reels that you see on Instagram where they talk about when dads make you tube and like almost like die? That's a real thing in our family. Yeah, listener, don't think that Dan has any ill intentions. It's just a real thing in our.
I feel like we need to do a staff tubing day and see which one goes first.
Who can do the most barrel rolls?
Right.
Who do you think it would be on our team?
Me.
Yeah.
Maybe Angie. I don't know.
I don't go tubing anymore. My back won't allow it. But yes, I get to be
I'm the
observer. Out. Yes. Yeah, I'm the observer, the one that says, "Oh, they fell off."
They fell.
There you go.
Stop the boat.
Turn around. Yeah. What do you think about that, Dustin? Just taking in the moments and living, without expectations in a way.
I think it's important, and I think, like Chris was saying a little bit too, that's in your mind. The sooner that you can get to a place where it really just does become about being in the moment, I mean, I think the more restful and peaceful that truly is. So there were nights where we just go on walks or bike rides, and like it was the fact that our whole family, the 5 of us, were together, and it just felt like, man, like, yeah, this this just feels good. There's nothing on the calendar, and I think there's a temptation sometimes to just get something on the calendar just to say that you're doing something we've had the conversation before about feeling busy, and sometimes that we buy into the lie that being busy is more important, and it's not. Just sometimes those nights there was nothing, and it was just us at home hanging out. Yeah, that to me those were the wins, and I think just getting as many of those as we could was great. So,
yeah. Any input, Brant?
No, I think I just agree with that. And like Chris said, Francie and I are finding ourselves enjoying anything that we do as long as we're together, and if we're able to truly disconnect. So there'd be times where we have plans to do something simple and customized towards what we can do, but there's distractions still. And so we're finding that even if we can get away, even if that's like a 30-minute drive or an hour drive, getting away helps us be in the moment, be where our feet are.
Well, those of you guys who know Denny Yoder, he puts on this epic grand camp. Okay, so he's done this for years. I'm talking years. And he doesn't do anything crazy. He doesn't take him to, Cedar Point or anything like that. He takes him to his house. And this year, because most of them are teenagers. And
so how many grandkids are there?
There's 9.
Okay.
And
what's the range?
Well, 21 to 8.
Yeah, that's quite a range.
And most of them have phones. So Grandma Jeannie and Denny said, put your phones in the basket. And the kids come home with my grandma took away our phones for grand camp. I'm like, that's a good choice because you do need to disconnect and be with each other. And so they'll tell you stories. The weather wasn't the greatest on Friday night. It started storming, and Papa Denny had water balloons blown up and ready to go. And so they had an epic water balloon fight in the middle of a rainstorm. And so if you would
I want to be invited.
if you would ask them, you would tell, they went kayaking. They went kayaking and they had, a great time kayaking. Cole lost my paddleboard paddle into the Elkhart River, but they still made it with half a paddle of canoe paddle with the paddleboard all the way back to Bristol. But anyways, in the long run, the whole idea is the stories. They didn't do anything crazy. It was just living in the moment and making and building relationships and community. And so I think that probably is one of the things that as a church we believe so heavily in community and relationships with each other.
Well, we live in a culture where we're seeing churches be less and less connected, and people attend on a Sunday and they walk out an hour later and have checked a box. I went to church, and that doesn't mean it didn't mean anything. But to me, where we're falling short in our culture is we're not spending enough time with other friends, other followers of Jesus in our communities, investing in our communities.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to take this season, and we're looking forward to talking through a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on here at Walk EMC. It's going to look a little different.
Yeah, I think one of the major things that's happened this summer, and you may have heard it, I don't know how these microphones have picked up, but throughout this podcast, there's been a lot of activity going on outside the podcast studio. We are in a major renovation taking place here. So one of the fun things about coming back from vacation was we came back to no offices. And trying to figure out where anything goes, or where you, for that matter, where you put your backpack. I literally came in the first Sunday of not having an office, and I thought, I don't know where to put anything. So I walked back home, and I left everything at home. I brought my iPad back across. I guess, well, I'm here. This is it. So
that's all you need.
It's the start of an 11-month renovation.
Yeah. So we ask, if you're a listener that attends here, be patient with us. Be aware that it's going to turn out, and there's going to be lots of reward on the end, right? Yeah. So, and that's what we have to look at.
Absolutely.
So, we're looking forward to a great season. We're going to talk about some topics that we need to talk about that are out there in the world that we hear, but also we're going to introduce our new youth pastor at some point this fall and get him on the podcast, and so you can get to know him. And so I'm looking forward to it, right?
It's going to be a great time. And honestly, if you have feedback for us, we'd love to hear from you. So if you want to shoot us an email, let us know, give us a call, stop by, whatever it is. Catch us on a Sunday.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can
We'll all
find
be
us.
in the lobby.
Yeah, that's right. One communal office. But let us know. We'd love to maybe address a hot topic or address a question that you might be having on this episode. At the end of the day, I'm excited to be back together. So this is good. It's good.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, and you have a great day here at Walkie MC. You can find us at Walkie MC at home. You can listen to us, of course, wherever you're listening to your podcast, but you can also email us at walkiemc@walkiemc.org. So have a great day.
See you soon.